What's up? How you doing? Good morning. We're your hosts. I'm Grant Cohn. That's Brandon Deutsch. Check him out on TikTok. He's got over 100,000 subscribers on TikTok. I'm a millennial. I'm still learning how that works, but Brandon's an expert. Brandon also has a YouTube channel. Check him out on X. He's all over the place. Brandon, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Again, to the people watching, I apologize about my voice coming back from a cold, so I had a cough for a week, but nothing stops me about Niners talk. Let's get into it.
I learned of Brandon through Maj, as people on the channel know Maj very well. Maj is all over the place, and he has good taste, and he introduced me online. Brandon, who makes really good TikToks. He had a killer one about the Niners a few days ago. I suggest you check it out. I retweeted it this morning. So in that vein, Brandon, do you think it's a mistake to bench Mac Jones right now, assuming that's the Niners' plan?
Well, first off, I appreciate the sentiment about my TikTok page. I do appreciate you checking it out. And yeah, I try to look, I'm an honest Niners fan, right? I'm not a homer. I'm not going to come out and be like, look, Brock Purdy's the man. Brock Purdy's this, Brock Purdy's that. I think we know what Brock Purdy is, and he's a good quarterback, and he's good when he has his guys there. The fact of the matter is, since he has started to gain confidence with his legs, I think that's kind of hurt him a little bit in this Kyle Shanahan system because he'll try to extend plays. It makes the line look worse than it is. I'm not saying the line is good. We know the offensive line has problems, but especially in that Jaguars game, I know he was injured, but he extended that play toward the end of the game and, fumbled and got sacked by Eric Armstead. Mac Jones gets up all out within 2 seconds. So what I'm thinking, and I'm not saying Mac Jones is the answer, for the next 10 years at quarterback. But for this system, a guy that gets the ball out quick, gets it to the playmakers with guys that have been hurt. I mean, no one knows if Ayuk is ever coming back. I mean, he might be traded in the offseason. We don't know. Ricky Pearsall's supposed to be back, but I'll believe it when I see it, right? So right now, I do think that Mac Jones is the answer at quarterback.
I think what you said is really interesting about Brock sort of falling in love with his legs. Not Mac's legs, his own legs, his ability to scramble. It just sounded wrong. And I totally agree with that. It's like when Brock first came into the system, 2022, 2023, he didn't scramble a lot. And if he did extend a play, it was usually to throw. And it seemed like those were his best years statistically. I mean, his efficiency was off the charts. And the criticism at the time was he's a system quarterback and these guys are all open, and who couldn't dink and dunk their way down the field with Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle and all these guys on the field. And I think he's aware of the criticism, and he understood that he was putting himself in position to potentially get paid $50+ million a year. And I think he understood that simply standing in the pocket and throwing to Christian McCaffrey wasn't going to get him that kind of money, and that he had a skill set that went beyond that. And I think he kind of fell in love with not just playing that way, but sort of showing off, let's call it that way. Showing off and showing that he's a playmaker and not just a system quarterback, when what this team needs is a system quarterback.
100%. I mean, they made a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not like they can't make a Super Bowl with Mac Jones, And that might sound crazy to some people. And I know, David Lombardi has talked a lot about QBR and stuff, but it's not Mac Jones. You look at the advanced stats, they're pretty similar to Purdy. I know Purdy's EPA might be a little better because he takes more risks downfield, but then you also get those risks. Like, look at Purdy's interceptions the last 2 years since the team was healthy in 2023. He's simply not the same player, and that's fine. He's still a good quarterback. So is Mac Jones. And when you have somebody that's playing the quarterback position and mastering Kyle Shanahan's system right now, like Mac Jones, you can't take him out. I don't care. Especially with Purdy being injured. He has a turf toe injury. He comes back, let's say, not this week, right? They play him, and he gets hurt again. What's the excuse then? If this is the guy you paid this enormous contract to, why would you go out and risk him when a quarterback is playing at a level that can win you 10 or 11 or 12 football games and get you into the playoffs anyways, right? Why would you risk his long-term health? It makes no sense to me.
It seems to me also that the Niners should be under some pressure to make the playoffs this year. They missed it last year. These guys act like they have lifetime contracts here, but I don't know. I'd like to see them make the playoffs. And if they start Purdy this week and he's not 100% healthy and it's sort of a repeat of the Jaguars game, I mean, that could be another loss that you should have won. That could be the difference between you making the playoffs and not. I mean, you could argue that if they had started Mac Jones against the Jaguars, they win that game. The Jaguars aren't that good. We'll never know for sure. But how many games are you going to give away trying to get Brock Purdy out there when you don't have to? God forbid you miss the playoffs because of that.
It's not just that, Grant. It's like the reason why, and this goes into the trade deadline talk that we're going to talk about too, because this is a wide open NFC. You're telling me the Niners, even without their defensive players, let's say they traded for one defensive guy, Bradley Chubb or something, for a third, like they were going to pick anybody good with that third round pick anyways, first off, but they don't even use Nick Martin. But back to the point, like, let's say you God forbid, okay, they get him, right? And then they get their offensive players back. You're telling me that team with a healthy Pearsall, perhaps Ayuk starting to get into the mix, Purdy if you want, or Jones, doesn't matter. And then you have Bradley Chubb and Robert Saleh calling defensive plays. You're telling me in a singular playoff game with Christian McCaffrey at full health, you can't beat the Rams, who are the Super Bowl favorites? You absolutely can. And next year, what's going to change? They have a harder schedule next year, especially if they make the playoffs. They'll have a harder schedule. They play the AFC West. They have to ace another draft to even have the depth to perform at the elite level.
Christian and Trent will be a year older.
Not just that, and Kittle, but
Yep.
tight end position's a little different. Kelsey's still, I mean, he's kind of watched 36, right? Like Kittle probably still has 3 or 4 elite years left. But then the Brock Purdy contract kicks in. And then the rest of the roster, you can't pay as much money. You already paid Ayuk $30 million. He's been sitting on the pine for a year. Can you even trade him? Who wants Ayuk? How do we know he's even the same player? You know?
Yeah. So what we're going to do a little bit later in the show is go through the last 2 drafts and grade each pick. Sort of think of it as like a progress report, not a final grade. But if the Niners are going to get back to being the contenders they envision themselves, they're going to need these picks to pan out. So we're going to go through and see where they're at. I do get the feeling they're going to bench Mac Jones this week. And maybe I'm just a stupid conspiracy theorist, but I feel like Kyle came out himself after the Rams game and was like, Brock could have played in this game. He said it. Yeah, he could have played. I just didn't want to put him in that situation, which is such a weird thing to say. So now you get to play the Cardinals, who, I mean, you could probably beat him with Adrian Martinez. So we'll see. I also think Ricky Pearsall's coming back this week. And I think the organization, while they like Mac Jones, and it was good for Kyle Shanahan's stock for Mac Jones to play well, it's not good if he plays better than Brock. And the Niners are very concerned about the narrative around their team. And as long as they're not going for the Super Bowl this year, I think they're going to try very hard to make Brock look better than Mac down the stretch. But when are they going to I'm a tinfoil hat guy.
When are they going to win a Super Bowl? Right? Like the fan base is, you know what I mean? Like making the playoffs for a fan base that has made consistently the Super Bowl and has made the NFC, that doesn't mean anything to them. Yeah. That doesn't mean anything. You have to win. And when are they going to win? With Kittle getting older, Christian McCaffrey getting older. I know they got Michael Williams and some young players that are decent, right? But like, you got to start thinking about, does Christian McCaffrey become a slot receiver within a year and a half? And do they then actually ever play Jordan James? Do they get a running back? Right? These are questions they need to ask themselves, because you, God forbid, you become the Commanders. You have the oldest roster in the league again, like the Niners last year, and then you suck.
I mean, they're knocking on the door for that right now.